Something I hear a lot young people saying is how they don't need religion. People in developed countries are educated and have enough luxuries, so they don't need to believe in God. I mean, what is religion if not a trick by a bunch of greedy bastards who want to control people who are illiterate and poor by using lies and fake promises? That shit doesn't work on educated people in first world countries, because we are smart and we have money, so we don't have to believe in something that we don't even know if it's true, and that one day it will appear to us as it was promised. Only dumb people fall for religion, not us.
How these Dragon Ball channels fucking lie to get views.
The Italian voice of Vegeta is confirming a new series.
There is no new Dragon Ball Super series.
There has been talk of a new series for a long time. I don't have a date for you guys. Well, it'll come back eventually, we just don't know when.
In their attempts to get as many views out of you guys as possible, the Dragon Jizz channels ran with an unconfirmed story.
We have had a lot of the Japanese voice actors, when Super was ending, talk about, hey, it'll be back.
Any little rumor they hear, they automatically believe it.
It's inevitable that Super does come back to television. The question just is, when?
He's sitting here saying to himself, I know nothing.
I don't have enough knowledge on that side of the world, be able to tell you much about that side.
They just ran with the story to get fucking views. Now that they got the views, they don't care if this guy's come out and saying it's all a lie. They don't give a fuck now because they got their views.
There will be another series. Dragon Ball will be back on television, we just don't know when. Hopefully soon.
Holy shit, man. All you Dragon Ball channels, ain't none of y'all worth a fuck, man.
Phantom Seer. Now, this is a newer title, but a lot of people are buzzing about it already.
I personally believe could be a big hit.
The first volume of Phantom Seer was sold out in Japan.
I'm really happy to see the growth of the series.
Phantom Seer might be around for a bit.
In the beginning, it started off slow, but then it's slowly rising up in the rankings. And
I've heard nothing but great things about it.
Recently hit 100,000 copies in circulation.
It's a great story and it has a lot of promise.
That's pretty impressive, and I'm happy to see that Phantom Seer is gaining more attraction, because that's what I want to see out of the series. I want to see it gain a lot more attraction.
A lot of people are like, oh, it's safe, you know what I'm saying?
I can honestly say that I am very invested in the series.
Phantom Seer is heading into its final phase,
and I'm really excited to see where the story is going to be heading in the future.
Why wouldn't you let this one build up and continue to increase its fan base, and then bam, you got another big title?
This series right here definitely has a lot of potential, and I really want to see it grow.
They once again are dropping the ball,
and it has a very interesting premise to it.
For them ending it already, that really sucks, and I know a lot of people are about to be bummed.
It was just so good.
In a way, I'm kind of glad I didn't get into it, because I would have been pissed off along with you guys.
Incredible. Like, I can only imagine, like, once Viz picks this up, which down the line they probably will.
Another one, another Hungry Joker, another Sensei Nobuge, aka Barrage, another Iron Knight, Takamagahara, like you name it, it's going up there.
More than 2 hours of this game at a time was even more draining than the hangover from VIP and media night.
Someone leaked the plot of the second Last of Us before the game came out, and as a result people know how the story will play out before they even get to play the game. And as it turns out, nobody liked the twists. They found them to be terrible, not to mention the forced inclusion of gender politics. As a result, a lot of people are not going to buy the game despite initially planning to. It damaged considerably the sales of the game and the credibility of the studio.
Subjecting myself to any more of it could probably be classified as self-flagellation.
As an excuse, the studio executives claimed that the feedback wouldn't be so negative if people had played the game without knowing the twists, because they would have been invested by the time they get to the twists, therefore they would love it thanks to the build-up that came before finding out. Basically, the twists would work thanks to the time you invested and not by simply being told about them.
You might call that unprofessional. I call it efficiency.
Which is a bullshit excuse. People got angry exactly because they were already invested since the first game. The outrage did not come from those who don't care about the first game, but from those who do. Which is where the whole logic of something becoming better falls apart. You cannot say you didn't care about Black Clover, and all of a sudden after 50 episodes, now you care. You were always invested since episode 1. If you weren't, you wouldn't bother saying it.
I suppose I could have held off for another week to play it some more, but the thing is, I don't f***ing want to.
It's the same thing with Babylon, an anime from some time ago. Very few people were watching it and hyping it because they were the only ones who cared about it. And when it ended in a completely bullshit way, it was only those few people who were disappointed. The rest of the world didn't give a shit because they never cared to begin with. They were never invested, so why would they?
Who the f*** are these people? What is going on? Why should I care?
And that is why, once again, we see why there is no such thing as having patience or showing faith until something gets good. You are either invested from the start and care about everything that happens in the story, or you are not invested and you don't give a shit. Stop saying that you need to invest a lot of time on something in order to like it, because you either do right away, or you don't.
Some people have told me that gets good about 20 hours in. You know that's not really a point in its favour, right? Put your hand on a stove for 20 hours and yeah, you'll probably stop feeling the pain, but you'll have done serious damage to yourself.
Amazon has heard the customers, has seen the feedback, and is now begging everyone to wait for Season 2. Because then it will finally be good. I'm not kidding. They want you, after investing 12 plus hours of your time or whatever it was for this season, to just wait until Season 2, because then it's gonna be good. Now, after you've watched all of these episodes and you were bored out of your gourd, just wait till Season 2. Then it's gonna get better.
President Biden and student loans, because y'all know one of his big campaign promises was that he was going to clear student loan debt for several people, and it never actually went into fruition. It was a back and forth. I think he ended up taking a little bit off. He didn't really do exactly what he had said. Well, apparently, as re-elections are approaching, President Biden's administration says that $55 billion in student loan forgiveness have been approved, and many more will be coming. So, opposed to just doing it outright, he's trying to, lean that, dangle that carrot, so to speak, for the next re-elections and say, hey, yo, I did 55 billion, we're gonna be doing a lot more, which at the end of the day, that was supposed to be already, done. Like, you had this whole big promise, and then after you got elected, it was like, wait, no, hold on. Dog, you really want to get that re-election popping without actually, debating. And hopefully this does go in, because there's a lot of people that really could use that right now. A lot of people got student loans, debts, and all sorts of stuff that they need taken care of. So yeah, Biden, get up and do it. One can hope, right?
I really wanted the final season to prove me wrong for quitting on the show in season 10. To prove to everyone who quit on the show along the way that sticking with it would have been worth it. But I feel like it achieved the opposite. It proved to me, and to the 94% of the colossal audience that quit, that being so invested into this story and these characters is not worth it. I'm always wary of stories that make it very clear they have no end in sight, and that's what The Walking Dead is now. It's a story that keeps going just for the sake of it, and more often than not, these stories keep going until nobody wants to watch them anymore, and then it ends in a bit of a dud that, by default, cannot be satisfying to anyone. And it's a sad fate for a show that once was a cultural phenomenon of a scale we had never really seen before. Every time I look at it, just like a lot of people out there, I cannot help but see what The Walking Dead really is. The greatest fall from grace in television history.
The fourth season of MHA aired in early 2020, and it was the moment almost everyone in the watching community turned against the show. The pacing was off, the animation quality was worse, it was a series of nobodies fighting other nobodies. The main characters everybody wanted to see had been sidelined completely. There was a loli with completely broken abilities that were destroying all sense of tension. And in general, there was a lot of dead time in the form of recaps or characters stating what the watcher knew about already. Nobody among the anime-onlys liked it, and thus the community jumped ship to newer shonen like Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen. There was a lot of cope from sellouts and hype-tards around that time who were refusing to admit MHA became crap and were desperately trying to defend the show and to prevent more people from leaving. Not every episode has to be about action, they were saying. It's an amazing show because it fleshes out the secondary characters. What comes after this season will be a masterpiece. Please don't leave, please. Keep watching so I can keep getting views and likes. Nothing worked, people had given up on it, and the lies of the sellouts weren't fooling them anymore. Not when there were better alternatives. Let's be clear here. The main reason MHA became so popular in the first place was because at the time there was no competition from other shonen. There was only Black Clover, which for a very long time was being mocked for its own numerous issues, until it reached a point where even that was a better alternative to MHA. The drop in quality was so huge, people were literally jumping over to a bad show they were mocking for years. The 6th season was fairly good, but as much as people were hyping it up, very few came back. By then, the new gold standard was Demon Slayer, while the previous gold standard had become saturated and tiresome exactly like the MCU. Which is also a big reason for why MHA was so popular in the beginning. Marvel superhero movies were very popular 7 years ago, and this anime was its animated equivalent. When the superhero fad was over, so was Crybaby Deku and his 50 broken powers. The show never recovered after it fell off, even if a later season was far better than the previous ones. It was riding a fad at a time when there was no real competition from other shonen. As soon as something completely mediocre came out, it proved that all its fame was smoke and mirrors. Nothing about it was substantial. The lies of the sellouts couldn't salvage this train wreck, and the snob who was being attacked as a hater for saying it was so since the very beginning was proven right as always. There are still people who are following MHA, but they do it mostly for completion than anything else. As the comment I am showing you proves, despite all the issues the last remaining fans have, they still look forward to a lot of things. Meaning they don't actually like anything anymore, they do it just to see how Horikoshi is going to wrap up the dozens of open side stories. They do it out of commitment, they don't really enjoy it anymore, outside of theory crafting how awful the handling is going to be. This is all that's left after a show falls, just tolerating its pitiful existence. Thus, once again, I was proven right for telling you nothing ever gets better.
This series has honestly been incredible. Honestly, for the last, 50-something chapters of Unordinary, the plot of the story has really just been progressing so much. Chapter 308, it's taken over 200 chapters for John to really get out of that hole, that pit of darkness, and become an actual better, decent human being. Chapter 308, legitimately, there's been a lot of growth, a lot of character progression, and the character writing from Uru-chan, that's been working on these chapters of Unordinary has been outright incredible. Chapter 308, I would dare say that Unordinary at its current time right now, it's probably the best it's been. Chapter 308, Unordinary literally is at the best point of its story that it's ever been. Chapter 308, it's really good because we're finally past the edgy John phase. Chapter 308, John has been undergoing a lot of development for the last 50 to 60 chapters. Chapter 308, it's definitely something that's been built up for a very long time, and it's nice to see all these chess pieces, these pieces on the board coming together to really move the plot forward. Chapter 308, Unordinary literally is the best it's been. Chapter 308, everything, like I said, that has been built up since the very beginning is finally coming all together, and it is just absolutely awesome to see. Chapter 308, Unordinary is really good right now. Chapter 308, I do think now is the time to catch up because of just how good the content actually has been. Chapter 308,
"You are not special, and that is what makes you special" is a dumb line in Black Clover which summarizes pretty much anything someone says when he praises a mid-show. It's nothing special, and yet he makes it seem special. It's the mental gymnastic where you take the most milquetoast features of a show and you blow them out of proportion so they will seem way better than what they really are. Ironically, whenever someone does that, he essentially lowers the standards for what counts as good. Because if the most milquetoast anime is the best anime of all times, what does that make the actually good anime? How much value can you place in a medium where its best stories are completely average, if not below average? It's basically sabotage from the very people who want to promote the medium. That is why criticism is so important. It prevents bad shows from being presented as great, thus keeping expectations where they should be. So, why do people constantly and unknowingly sabotage the very thing they love by blowing it out of proportion? The reason is psychological and is mostly associated with what most of us know as the dopamine fix. Dopamine is all about rewarding patience and persistence. It's when you do something with a promise of a reward at some point in the future. Companies and society in general constantly exploit the desires of the population, so they will remain preoccupied with something that on a daily basis doesn't offer them anything, yet promises to give them something if they are patient and persistent. So it's not like when you have a typical job. You might be paid once every month, but you are still making a specific amount of money every day. Gambling is the most known example of a dopamine fix. It's when you keep losing money but you don't stop because you have convinced yourself if you keep playing you will eventually win at some point. Gacha games are the same. You get mostly crap, but you don't stop because once in a while you get something great. Even religions do it. They force you to pray 5 times a day and never eat pork, with the possible reward of a good afterlife. So you keep playing those mental games because eventually you will win in the roulette, or you will get a great gacha unit, or you will go to heaven. This tends to take away all the frustration you feel from the constant failures in the present and turns them into hope for the future. I may feel bad now, but if I keep doing it, I will eventually be rewarded. Fans of mediocre or bad shows do the same. They don't like what they watch, but they imagine the potential and think it's going to be amazing later on. They have convinced themselves that all the crap that is going on now is a build-up to something amazing, thus automatically make it amazing, although it's not and it's most likely never going to be. Just because they pumped their body with dopamine does not mean they will certainly get what they hope for. And even if by some miracle they get it, it will still not make the current bad or boring parts of the show any better. But this obvious fact is incomprehensible to fanboys, because they will always push everything to the future. Whenever there is a plot hole, they will say it will be patched up in the future with a retcon. Whenever there is a retcon, they will say it's deliberate trolling on part of the author because he wanted to subvert the narrative and deconstruct the formula. Whenever there is a character rewrite, they will say he's only pretending, it will make sense later on. Whenever a side story is forgotten, they will say it will be addressed later on. It doesn't matter how many problems you point out. They will push them to future events, thinking there will eventually be a solution there. All you have to do is be patient and have faith, so don't be judgmental before it's over. It sounds like they are being reasonable when they say that, until you realize it's just cope that only those who like the show are using. The opposite isn't true. Someone who doesn't like the show isn't gonna say, I'm gonna wait until it's over before I judge it. He's either going to drop the show or he's going to be judgmental right away. He's not gonna change his mind completely the moment he finishes a show. Unless of course he's a sellout, but that's a different story. I'm talking about honest opinions. An actual fanboy will be honest and will believe the problems of the show will be fixed by the end of it. They can be piling up for a decade, he can be an episode or a chapter before the finale, and he's still going to be saying everything will make sense soon. He will never admit a problem is a problem the second it appears. It doesn't magically fix itself by assuming something will happen in the future. Bad writing is bad writing. It's a fundamental flaw that doesn't go away if you believe the ending will fix it. It's why bad shows are bad way before they end. Refusing these facts is not any different from the members of any religion out there who know most of the holy scriptures don't make any sense, and they still believe once Armageddon happens, you will see, everything will make sense and our specific branch of faith will be the only one that will be proven right. Everybody else is wrong for not having faith. We are the only ones who are right. And there you have it. Another example of why being a religious fanatic is the exact same thing as a fanboy of any show.
The Skeleton Crew, The Acolyte, and the Disney Star Wars spiral, things aren't going very well. Even if the shows are okay, people aren't watching them because they're over Disney Star Wars. Can we say that? Are we allowed to say that?
Everybody else is.
There are a hell of a lot of people that do not like Disney Star Wars, even if the Disney Star Wars is objectively good or competent. But a lot of people whose opinions I trust said Andor is actually pretty good. That being said, I keep forgetting it exists and I have no interest in watching it because I'm so over Disney Star Wars. The damage has been done. That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, at this point, they could totally undo everything Kathleen Kennedy has done in Star Wars, and I don't know if people would come back.
A few weeks back there was this show called Moonrise that came all at once on Netflix. It got zero promotion and the very creators were begging Netflix on X to promote the show. Eventually Redditors and YouTubers spoke about it and brought attention to the show. A lot more people checked it out than they would have if there was no pleading. One of those people was me. I heard nothing about Moonrise and the way they were promoting it was as if it were a hidden gem or something. It made me curious. So I checked half of the episodes. The first episode was amazing, it reminded me of the Gundam premise at its finest, but everything beyond the first episode was below mid. Weird pacing back and forth in time, the main enemies were mindless robots, and it didn't feel like it was a world at the brink of chaos anymore. It wasn't worth the time I gave it and nothing would be lost if I had never watched it. At the same time, there was this other show coming out this season called The Beginning After the End, which everybody was hyping as an isekai that is as good as Pedo Shoku Tensei, so yeah, you can imagine how good it actually is. The thing is, despite the pre-airing hype, nobody likes the actual show, the animation is non-existent. People went as far as making a petition for the show to be remade from scratch. So the question is, what is better? To have a bad show that is left unnoticed and forgotten, or to have a bad show that everybody is constantly pointing out how bad it is? I know many will say you should always give a show the chance to impress you, but when a show is as bad as Moonrise and The Beginning After the End, why give it a chance at all? The obvious answer is because there is no objectivity according to the tasteless casuals. Nothing is objectively good or bad, which is why so many love shows like Soar and Online. They are a trash and yet a lot of casual gamers love them, the same way Twilight is trash and yet so many fat ugly women love it. Because there is no objectivity. Every show should be given a chance because you can never predict if a lot of people like it or hate it. The recent Minecraft movie is proof of it. Everybody was predicting it would be terrible and it ended up being adored by millions of kids who play the game. Does that mean the movie was good? Hell no, it only means people gave it a chance and ended up liking it. Quality has nothing to do with it, it's just for mindless fun. Even someone like me who cares about quality loves a lot of old movies that the general public at the time considered to be awful. I'm talking about stuff like Street Fighter, RoboCop 2 and Starship Troopers. If I had listened to people, I would have never watched those movies and I wouldn't have so much fun growing up. With that said, something a lot of shills are saying is still not an acceptable behavior. Whenever something flops, they instantly say the toxic fans never gave it a chance, and that's the only reason it failed. You cannot force people to give something a chance, and you cannot blame them if they don't like it. Giving something a chance is just telling people to try something. It doesn't guarantee they will like it when they try it. The second season of The Last of Us is airing right now and it's a mostly faithful adaptation of the video game. Back when that twist happened, everybody hated it, and the shills instantly yelled the toxic gamers never gave the game a chance. Now the TV series did the same twist and look at that. Not even the normies who never played the games like it. What are they supposed to be? Toxic average Joes who watch series just to hate them? That excuse was bullshit. You cannot blame people for not liking it, much less not giving it a chance. They did give it a chance and they didn't like it. So at the end of the day, Moonrise was handled badly by Netflix despite not being a good series. Because people had to watch it so they could confirm it's a bad series. This was not the case with The Beginning After the End because people did hype it, they gave it a chance and they didn't like it.